Alrighty, for my qualitative analysis, I will be talking about my time spent at SciTech High, which is a charter school down in Imperial Beach. This school focuses on the students who are in transition either from a traditional high school and or looking to get their high school diploma and focus on post-secondary education and employment. This school caters to students who are aged 16 to 24 and has a voluntary open enrollment process. It is very different from the traditional high school in that the students are completing the work that they need specifically to reach their goal of the diploma, also in combination with receiving some sort of certificate and or employment in the career technical education sense, like trade schools. Those are the electricians, the certified nurses assistants, plumbing, electrical, things like that. So it's a combination education that the state puts on in hopes of helping these students achieve their goal and get their diplomas, and then have an entrance into the job security. The items of the team structures that I'm going to be talking about are also very different than a traditional high school in the sense that they don't have a lot of the same structures. I did observe the IEP team structure that is in place at SciTech. However, there was no 504 planning team, and there's not a multi-tiered structure in the traditional sense. So I'll begin with the IEP team. The special education program at SciTech really focuses on students who have learning disabilities and or educational or emotional behavioral disabilities. And that's pretty much it. And if they are students with a severe case of either of those, SciTech doesn't really have the resources to handle or accommodate them. That being said, it is a completely inclusive environment, and the students are in the general education classes with everyone. Typically, a class size is 15 to 20 students. However, the teachers are not leading traditional instruction, and so it can be very overwhelming as a teacher to have to teach to everyone and accommodate everyone in that same classroom when the students are learning a different curriculum individual to them. The typical stay at SciTech is 15 to 18 months. However, the students are maxed out in this program at 2 years. So if they're unable to complete their work in that 2 years, they're kicked out of the program, which is a very interesting aspect. The most accommodations that I was witness to, specifically speaking to the IEP, were that students got added time to their assignments. So in multitude, this leads to added time to their stay at SciTech. So a student with significant learning disabilities might get an extra 6 months to complete their curriculum. The IEP team structure is inclusive of a counselor, a IEP team leader, and either the principal or a member of the front office staff that is able to sit in on the meeting with the students. The students at SciTech are mandated to be at their IEP meeting, which is very different from typical traditional sense of IEP meetings in a normal high school. This being said, it's also typical that parents don't show up or sometimes aren't even invited to the IEP meetings because the students either do not have a parental structure system at home and or the parents don't want to be involved or are not involved in their academic process. So all of those are very different. Moving back to the implementation in the classroom of these accommodations that might be discovered in the IEP meeting, it is very hard for them with the resources that they have to cater strictly to these IEP accommodations or modifications because they just simply don't have the staffing for it. I kind of think of SciTech overall as a 504 plan as a whole entire school because of the multi-system kind of accommodations that they have in place to remove the barriers that students typically face when learning, such as they provide housing for all their students and a food stipend so that the students have a warm and safe place to go home to every night and don't have to worry about transportation or crossing the border or things like that. So they also have a medical team on staff that provides complete medical and dental work for all the students so that they're healthy and taken care of and don't have to worry about whether they can afford it or not. All of that is completely inclusive within the program itself. And lastly, they also have a counseling team that really works on the traumas that these students are facing. A lot of these students come from single-family homes, no family homes, no home at all. So it's very different in the sense from a traditional high school that a lot of the students there might face one or so two traumas, but the students here face a lot of trauma, and it's very hard for them at the end of the day to focus on their education. So SciTech is giving them the opportunity to do so. Lastly, I'll just say that the resources that they have, they're doing a great job with. However, if they can get more staffing and more resources from the state to be able to implement the instruction and one-on-one with the students that they need, specifically the IEP students, that would make a huge difference in their academic success and success of their students, because the students just really need someone there all the time to help them, whether they're on an IEP or not, and they don't have the staffing right now for that. I'm very glad to be able to offer my services and observe, but really help in the classroom to do that, and it's been a great learning experience. So that is my analysis so far of SciTech. Thank you.